I'm going to show you how to make this easy one-stitch slippers. This is the materials you're going to need: a medium weight yarn and a medium sized crochet hook. I'm using a 9mm. To make a magic ring, make sure you give yourself a good tail. Wrap it around your 2 fingers once, and then you see this little part, you want to tuck it in through there, and there's your little hole, and you want to insert your crochet hook. Now to make a slip knot you would pull, but for magic ring you want to take your 2 fingers, you want to lift up your yarn like so. Okay, so now you want to make sure this is tight, so now just feed that through like you would normally pick up a yarn, but keep this open, and see there's your tail end hanging. Okay, so pick up your yarn and just hook through once. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So at this point what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, crochet 10 times or into this ring, with including this tail. That's why I said remember to leave a long tail. The stitch that we're going to be using is called a half double crochet, and the way it works, if you're not familiar with it, you hook over your yarn, you insert your hook into the circle, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that's called a half double. Okay, so make sure you're getting the tail in because you want to make sure all that is in. Okay, so let's just carry on and do 10 of those. So I did 1, so yarn over into the circle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Yarn over into the circle, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And it's a little stiff because you want to do it tight in the beginning, although the circle you want loose, because that we're going to tighten later, and I'm going to show you how to tighten it. It's really easy. So we did 3, so we need 7 more. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Okay, so I did 9 into the circle. You can see my tail is still here, and I'm just going to finish my last one. So this is my 10th into the circle. There we go. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure my tail's at the bottom, and I'm going to slip stitch to join. To do that, just going to go into the first stitch, yarn over, and pull through. Now I'm going to chain 1 and mark, place a mark. If you have a stitch marker, put it there. If you don't, just take any color that's a yarn that's different and place it there, and pick up your yarn. And now we're going to again do a half double crochet into every stitch, but this time we're going to do it twice. So pick up our yarn, and we have to find our first V. The first row is difficult, and after that it gets really easy. Okay, so we're not going to go into the V, we're just going to go into the stitch because it's too difficult. So we'll save the going into the V for when we do the second row, I mean the third row, because this is the first row, now we're doing the second row. Okay, so into the first stitch. So once, twice. Okay, so you want to increase, this is called increasing. So we're going to double in size. Okay, so into every stitch we want to half double crochet twice. That's once and twice. So going into the next stitch, yarn over here once, yarn over, same stitch twice. Okay, so remember how we had 10 stitches? Now we're doing twice into each stitch, so we should end up with 20. So go ahead and finish that, and I'll just do it on my own. So I've come to the end, and I have now 20 stitches all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch to join. I gotta see how nice it is when you're marking it, because then you can find it and you're not putting it in the wrong one. So we're just going to insert our hook and slip stitch to join and remove our marker. Okay, so now we're going to carry on, and just looking at all my toes, looks good. So we're going to chain up 1, and we're going to turn around, turn our work around. I'm just going to do under the V's at this point, and putting our marker back into place. There we go. And let's just go under V's. Remember, you should have 20 if you're just doing under the V's. So just single under every V all the way around, and continuing with our double crochet stitch. You can see, if you look at your yarn, if you look at your work, you will see how the yarn is shaped like a V. See it here? That's a V. That's what we're talking about. So we want to go nicely under there, doing our half double crochet. So once under each V, and I'll just carry on my own, and I'll be back once I'm all the way around. Come to the end of my row, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join, again inserting it in here and pulling it through. So now it's starting to resemble like a cuff. So the reason why we're turning our work, because once we get into the middle section, you're going to have to turn to get around, and this will give us a uniform look throughout the whole slippers if we turn. So again, we're going to chain up once, and we're going to turn our work around. Okay, and again, going under the V's all the way around, half double crochet. So just carry on your own. And yeah, starting to get the little cuffy look, which is great. So under the V, 1 per V. So you don't want to go past on that. So just carry on. So I've come to the end of my row, and I'm just going to slip stitch to join here. There we go. And take my marker out. So as you can see, it's starting to resemble like a little booty. The beauty of Magic Circle is it makes it easier to work, and now you can just go turn your work around and put this down and take your end tail, and you just pull and just hold on to your work and pull, and look how nicely and tightly that closes. And do the next 3 rows just like that, okay, by chaining 1, turning the work around, putting a marker in place, and then doing our half double crochet into every V all the way around. So I'm going to carry on and do 3 more rows like that, and I'll be back once I'm finished. So our cup is starting to look like a slipper. Yay! Looks pretty. So it depends how wide you want the front to be. You can carry on and do more rows, or you can just start doing the sides. I like mine a little bit deeper, so I'm going to do another 3 rows. So chaining up once and turning around, removing our marker, and just carry on. And I'll just do 3 more rows, and then I'll come back and finish doing the middle part. Okay, so this is as deep as I want to go. So I just wanted to show you something. I hope you were doing this correctly. But when you come to the end of the row, you do have this wide gap. Remember, this is not a stitch. This was our little bridge. So you never want to go into that, because if you do that, then you're increasing. So all of a sudden it's getting wider and wider and wider, right? So you never want to go in there. This is why it's important to count your stitches. I always count my stitches. And I have my marker, and then when you do your little slip stitch, see, it closes it together like that. Okay, so I've reached, this is how deep I want it. Now if you wanted less than that, it's quite deep, but I like mine kind of warm up at the top. So now we're going to build the middle section. Okay, so to do that, let's pick up our yarn, and so we're going to chain up 1 and picking up our yarn, and then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to put our marker under here, and we're going to crochet the same thing we're doing, double crochet under every V. So look for your first V and carry on just like you were doing, but you don't want to go all the way around. You want to do this up to, and then leave five empty V's. Okay, so just keep going all the way around except for the last 5. So the last 5 V's we're going to leave empty. Okay. So I'm finished with my 5 left over. So if you look at this, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 V's, and this one is not a V because this was part of our slip stitch that we were doing. Okay, so 5 left. It looks like this, and that's our space to put our foot in, and kind of turns around. So now we want to turn around. To do that, again, we do just like we did before. We chain up 1, but it's so obvious we don't need to mark it because it's on the end. So let's just carry on now and do it in this direction. So again, under the V, our double crochet. And that's the reason why we were turning around, because at this point, when you're doing the top portion, you have no choice. You have nowhere to go. And now it's gonna, the whole slipper is gonna look nice and uniform. Okay, so that's our, let's just keep going till we get now to the other end. Okay, so I've come to the, this is my last one. You can see my marker from before. So now we're going to, but this time, even though it's a marker, we're still going to treat it like it's a stitch because we want to build up, right? So instead of slip stitch, which you would do, we're not going to do that. We're going to build a double crochet. We're going to do our half double crochet in here. Okay, there we go. Now we can lose this marker. We don't need it anymore. So chain 1 and turn and carry on. So keep going till you reach the length. Okay, so let me just show you here. So if you look at here, you will see that we're starting to build this little portion of it, right? So this part I left with 5, but if you want a wider one, you could have left 6. So if you want a narrower, you could have done 4. So it's all, you can custom make it to your liking. This kind of fits really nice and snug, which is what I'm looking at. So we're going to keep doing this back and forth, building it until we reach, and you should measure the back of your heel. So I'm going to carry on and do that, and I'll come back once I reach the back of my heel. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this. When you come near the edge, you see how it just slopes like that? But there is a stitch, and we know there's a stitch because we counted. So if we did 20 stitches all the way around and we left 6 emptied, we should have 16. Either way, so if you're not counting, because I don't count when I get to this part, you can look at it and you can see it's like this and there's something missing. So what you want to do is you want to find it. You just have to kind of dig, because you can't have that slope. So get our V, there it is, because sometimes it just kind of slopes down, and we forgot to yarn over first. So we're yarning over and going our V's. And there we go. And now you can see how nicely it looks. So always check, make sure that it's all straight line. Okay, so we're doing good. So I want to show you when I put the slipper on, I measured it. I don't know if you can see it. When I put the slipper on, it reached right there to the edge of my heel. So there's the edge. So this is why, and it's not going to fit all the way across. So when these two are not yet connected, so now what we're going to do, we're going to build up the heel portion, but it has to be like right to the edge of the heel. So now what we want to do is we want to combine these two together. You finish the slipper off. If you have a tapestry needle, you can just go ahead now and sew. If not, you can use your crochet hook. So let's just make sure they all are lined up. What we're going to do is we're going to insert our hook underneath the, actually I'm going to open it up so you can see, underneath the V on this side and underneath the V on this side. Okay, so it should all line up nicely. Now we're going to yarn over and pull it all through the both V's and through the last one as well. So that's one. Now we're going to go on to the next one underneath both V's. Yarn over pull through and pull through, and to the next one. So just keep doing that all the way down. Okay, so now they come to the end. What you want to do is you want to yarn over and pull through. Take your yarn, cut it, and then pull through. And then yarn over and pull through and tighten it. Okay, so traditionally to finish off any kind of rough edges, what we do is we take the loose yarn and we just weave it in, just with a tapestry needle or a crochet hook or that. So what you want to do is just, so it's better if you go up and down the ridge. So what you want to do is feed it in. Well, I use a tapestry needle, but I want to show you can use your fingers. So you just want to feed it in like once or twice, bring it back up just along the line so it looks like it's a natural part of, because just kind of tightens it, and then down again. Okay, now that I weaved just a bit in here, I can cut it. I can just weave this part in a bit more, but I want my tail sticking out this way, right? So you can just go ahead and do 2 more, make so it's sticking out this way, and then this one I'm gonna cut it like that. And see how these 2 ends, you can either take it in a little bit or you can leave it, doesn't matter, because we're turning it inside out. So now we're going to turn our slipper over, and when we turn it over, you get that nice smoothness. And look at that, look at the back. So you don't see that big ridge because that's on the inside. And there is our slipper. Now we can go ahead and carry on with our second one. Okay, so this is the finished product. If you want to get fancy, you can put a little thread around it and it just looks pretty. Just cut twice the amount of length that you're going to need. Take a tapestry needle. If you do not have a tapestry needle, you can just take a safety pin and guide it through that way. So we're going to start here in the middle because that's where we want to end. So just guide it all the way around. Just one under the top. Okay, so once you guide it through the thread, you just simply tie it into a little pretty bow. And the nice thing about it is you can tighten it if you want this more tight or loose. And there, it's a pretty little bow.